I am tired of fake ass haters, yo. Like, people don't understand what hate really is, all right? Because fear holds you back from hate. Boundaries also hold you back from true hate. Hate is a raw emotion. It's a deep depravity of dislike. It makes you irrational, and the distinction between hate and dislike is the justification and the boundaries. The hate and dislike are irrational. All right, the best thing to do is to be kind and just be better. But with hate, all of that just goes out the window, and your boundaries suddenly disappear. Your empathy dwindles, and any justification disappears. You don't care for any consequences, and you just let fury consume you. It devours you. And that's why when you hate, nothing should ever be off the hate table. All right. You should always hate with everything you have in your heart. Be as depraved as you can, for this is all that hate is: depravity. You see, what I'm actually getting at is I'm not actually really talking about hate, really, at this point. Um, I mean, that's just being a bad person. Yes, that's what free will is. Basically, having the choice between good or bad. And, sadly, sometimes people choose the bad. And I don't mean it in a cynical way, I just mean it in a way of, if you're going to choose to do the bad thing, at least do that bad thing in the most evil way you can. Alright? Man, that sounds so bad when I say it, but in existentialism, there is such a thing as being genuine. It kind of explores how free will interacts with kind of everything. Basically, you're not being genuine. And there's different modes of beings that come attribute with having awareness and having consciousness. In existentialism, you have a being in itself. It has facticity, and it's conceivable as a substance. It's self-identical. You have a being for itself. It's fluid, dynamic. It's the negation of a being in itself, and it's basically what we use to transcend. You know, the ability to surpass facticity. Facticity is basically just concrete, something that's like set in stone. I'll get more into that in a little bit. And then you have a being for others, which is just known as just whenever people observe you, whenever they see you with their gaze. And you have these modes of beings that kind of make up consciousness in existentialism. And basically, when people do fake haters, when people are being fake haters, they're basically mistaking a being for itself for a being in itself. You're basically making yourself concrete and having facticity, uh, when in reality we're more than that. This is known as bad faith. Bad faith is when a being for itself confuses for a being in itself. Now, I know I haven't explained much about for a being for itself, but basically think of it as people. People are being for itself, alright? Something more than what they are, right? Transcended for what they are. A being in itself is like an object. For example, a chair. A chair is a being in itself. It is a chair. It is nothing more than a chair, and it always will be a chair unless it changes, right? But it usually won't, right? Same for a rock. A rock will always be a rock, right? But people will not always be people, all right? We're more than our labels, right? For example, something as saying that you're an artist. When someone says that they're an artist, they're not only an artist, are they? They're a person. They could be male or female. They can be, tall or short. They can be more than what they really are. They have qualities that make them other things like an artist, right? They could be a boxer. They could be a bodybuilder. They could be a worker, you know? And so when are we are beings for itself, because we are more than just objects. We are more than just facticity, right? The things that are facticity about us is where we come from, our parents, right? Who were we born to, right? Our ethnicity and things that we cannot change, right? You cannot change your race, you cannot change your skin color, you cannot change where you were born, but you can change how you react and what you do in your life, right? And so, when we confuse ourselves for beings in itself by saying we are only this one thing, we are only an artist, we are only a boxer, then this is what we know as bad faith. To be living in bad faith. Bad faith is when we confuse for a being for itself to be a being in itself. And this is why I say that you are not truly hating, because you are a being for itself confusing to be a being in itself, right? You don't actually want to hate. You don't actually truly want to actually hate, right? You are not an actual hater, okay? Unless you are a hater, unless you truly do want to hate, then please, 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 by all means, do hate. Do hate with everything you have. But I don't think you are a true hater, okay? You don't actually want to hurt, all right? And that's good. That's a good thing, all right? It's good to, not want to hurt people, all right? Being bad is bad. I don't think that's, anyone's going to argue that. But, I don't think anyone's going to argue against it. But if you're going to hate, be hateful. Be as hateful as you can, okay? You can't half-ass it, alright? I want to see you guys be as hateful as you can. Be as deplorable as you can. And not live in bad faith. Do not confuse yourself for a being in itself, alright? Be a being for itself. Be transcendent, alright? Transcend the hate. Transcend it. And don't just label yourself as a hater. Just hate. Alright? Don't say that you're a hater. You don't need to label yourself. Just be evil. Really. You gotta stop selecting when to hate. Hate is a poison. It doesn't decide when it should or shouldn't poison. It just does. Empathy and shame hold you back. Either give up or just retire your empathy. Because hate has no space for it. You gotta let your hubris fortify you. Let it be your downfall. Let it consume you so much that you hurt everyone around you. And do so purposefully. Because the ego shall have no limit. Let yourself be consumed by vice. It does not matter if your hate is justified. Hate. Be as deprived as you can. Hate calls to all. You should not be concerned if your hateful action is justified, or if you're a good person or a bad person. Just hate. Let that anger blind you. Stop being a fake hater, because this isn't even about hate. It's about being authentic. Be truly authentic. Stop being a hater, okay? I'm not actually trying to encourage people to actually be hateful. I just want you guys to stop going against what you truly want. Stop being bad faith, alright? Stop confusing yourself for being in itself. You are a being for itself. You are more than this. You are more than that. You are more than what you already are. You're more than that.